everybody, Sean O'Connor here from Macabre Daily and Paper Cuts, and I have my friend Laura Parnum here with me tonight.
Hey there.
Laura and I met ages ago through our mutual friend, Nicole M. Wolverton. I immediately just fell madly in love with Laura. I love the Peril at Price Manor. You're one of the coolest people I know, along with Nicole. She'll get mad at me if I don't say that. But
Thank you.
we have been threatening each other to get together and record something fun, and now here we are.
Here we are.
Do me a favor, though, before we get into it, what I always like to do, which I didn't do in the past, but I'm doing now, do me a favor for anyone who's listening, and they're also going to be watching this on YouTube, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, because I want people to get to know you like I do.
All right, sure. So I'm Laura Parnum, and I live in Philadelphia. I am an author, so I write spooky books for kids, actually. I write for the middle grade group, which is ages 8 to 12. And I have 2 books out, which we'll talk about, but just as an introduction, my first one is Peril at Price Manor. And then my second one just came out this summer, and it is The Haunting of Bellington Cottage.
I love
So I love to, write spooky books, and I love to write books for kids. And these books have a lot of humor in them. And yeah, that's about me. There's plenty more to say, but we'll get to it.
Laura, can I just say though, before we continue, your books are funny, but they're also fun.
Thanks.
Fun is infectious. It's like you go for a ride. There are mild scares. You're not, no one's getting their boots are not going to go flying across the room. But there are good scares there, age-appropriate scares, I should say. And I got a kick out of each and every one of them. There are great themes of friendship and support and camaraderie and encountering obstacles and working together to get through them, which I think is for that age range that you write for. I just really am over the moon about the message that your books have. And I think it's great. I think parents should buy them for their kids, and I think kids should bug their parents for them to buy them.
Sounds good to me.
So you and I were talking about, okay, let's keep the scares mild, and let's talk about some gateway horror, because every horror film lover and every horror author has that story where they saw a film. It was probably a film because back then, I mean, look, I'm definitely a stitch older than you, Laura, but back in the 70s, in the way back dinosaur times, PG is almost an R-rated movie today.
Mhm.
I mean, Jaws was PG.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as PG-13. So the family would go to movies, and look, I know I'm going to be shocking people, but it was one screen, and the seats were galactically uncomfortable. And you would sit there and you would watch something that probably terrified you, not for that night, for years to come. Years to come. So we're going to talk about a couple of those movies. We have one. We you know what, Laura? Let's start with it. Let's start with Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, because that's one that you and I have in common. And then neither one of us really know what other movies we're going to talk about, which is exactly the way I want it.
Okay, great.
Tell everybody when you saw Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I love this.
Okay, well, let me give you a little background about my dad, because my dad is a huge horror movie fan. The posters behind you are all very familiar to me because we had a room in our house that was covered with horror movie posters. From
your
floor,
dad.
like all the way on the ceiling as well. Like you look up and there were posters on the ceiling. He had books, magazines, like, all kinds of little tchotchkes and cardboard standees. I think, we had Chewbacca, we had Freddie, we had, who else did we have? Well, I can't remember, but
Bragging that you grew up in the best house ever.
Yeah, I mean, so this is where I have spent my formative years. So my dad, as a huge horror, and his favorite movie of all time was Bride of Frankenstein. So, so he was just like a big fan of the classic Universal horror movies. Um, yeah, so yeah, and he had all like the original posters and lobby cards and everything like that. So he had quite the collection. So anyway, when I was probably about 4 and my sister was 5, my dad was like, "Okay, we're gonna go see the first horror movie." So he took us to, some kind of revival showing of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. And let me tell you, my sister and I were so scared that he had to pull us out of the movie theater. We were crying, we were terrified. So
Makes
yeah,
sense.
so we didn't make it through.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, look, I could understand that you're engaged with Abbott and Costello and it's silly and it's fun, but it kind of gets to the scares almost immediately when they're
Yep.
unpacking the crates in the warehouse, and then all of a sudden there's Dracula and Frankenstein. And honestly, if I were 4, 5 or 5 years old, it would have terrified. I don't know if I would have wanted to leave because I was 6 when I saw
Uh-huh.
Jaws.
Uh-huh.
And I tell the story. Forgive me, listeners and viewers, because you've heard the story.
I haven't heard it. Go ahead.
In the multiverse, there is a version of young 6-year-old Sean O'Connor that is still screaming and will never stop screaming. I mean, it just, I sweat through my clothes. I sweat through the seat. It was just a transformative experience because I came out the other side completely traumatized. And we used to vacation our entire summers on the beach.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like, well, I guess I'll never go in the ocean again. But it instead of scaring me away, it scared me towards, which I still don't completely understand to this day.
Yeah,
But every single horror author or director or actor who's involved in horror that I speak to says the exact same thing. I
yeah.
had this transformative experience, and the fight was actually, I need more of that. It
Mm.
makes no discernible sense whatsoever.
Well, I like to think of being scared, like watching horror movies or reading horror stories. The fear that you get from that is like the same kind of fear you get from a roller coaster.
The
Like
cathartic.
you want to go on this roller coaster because the fear is fun.
Yeah.
You're going to be safe. You're in a movie theater. You're reading a book. So there's not a real aspect of terror. In fact, in the roller coaster, maybe there is more. Something could go terribly wrong, and you could die. But it's the same kind of feeling you get. You want to experience the fun of this fear.
Yeah.
So there you go.
You have the preconceived notion that you're going to be okay at the end of it.
Exactly.
Might
Yeah.
not, but at least you go in thinking, all right, you know what, this is kind of like a controlled experiment. But it's crazy that the horror lover in all of us is kind of chasing that thrill always.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Now, as an author, I wonder, let me know if you're trying to chase the thrill in a narrative way that each consecutive novel that you write, you're like, let me up the ante just a little bit. I know that you want to stay within those parameters of middle school, but
Yeah, middle grade is like
middle grade.
it's like grades 3 through 6 or 7. Yeah.
Forgive me, middle
No,
grade.
it's
You
okay.
feel compelled to like tweak the dial a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I've read a lot of, spooky stories for kids as part of, the job of writing these spooky stories. And there's definitely a spectrum of like, the not so scary ones and then the pretty scary ones. So, as a fan of the types of movies that are both horror and humor, that's the kind of books that I like to write. So, my favorite horror movies are the ones that have a lot of humor in them. Um, yeah, so that's, I mean, so there definitely is a wide range of how spooky you can get in middle grade books. There's definitely ones that are more scary than others. And I call my first one I say is more funny than scary. The second one has, a little bit more spooks in it, but it's still pretty mild in terms of the spectrum. So my books, I'd like to say, are the kind of a gateway into the horror books for
It's
kids.
it's a beautiful gateway, and it's also an incredibly well written and fun gateway. I was talking with Bill Wood, who just wrote this novel. I'm a horrible name dropper, but I was talking with Bill Wood, who just wrote this fantastic YA novel called Let's Split Up. And we were having a conversation about how YA, that that dividing line between YA and adult horror fiction is almost gone now.
Hmm.
There's so much great YA horror that is so easily it applies to the teen and tween audience that it's meant for, but it easily transfers to an adult audience because even though we're decades past, we can still we can gravitate towards it and we can understand it. But the thrills and the chills that are in those novels now are really unlike the Christopher Pike and the Goosebumps and stuff like that we had. It's a great, it's like a transitional subgenre that isn't the full blown horror of adult, but boy, does it come close. So I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of really I love what's happening now in horror through all of the specific age ranges. I know when we skew younger, it really does have to stay within those bumpers, so to speak.
Hmm.
Have you
Definitely.
have you ever had an editor push back and say this is going to scare the pajamas off of someone?
No, in fact, I think the opposite. Like I've had people say, "Oh, maybe make it a little more scary."
Love it.
I sometimes have problems putting my characters into, tougher situations because, I care about my
Care
characters.
for them, yeah.
Yeah.
Want them to be
So
scared.
and it comes back to Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein because like I feel like in that movie the scares weren't that scary, right? You kind of have these familiar monsters. You've got the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Frankenstein's monster, and you're familiar with them, and then you've got like Abbott and Costello who are just goofing around. And there might be, sort of a hint of something's about to happen, but then some gaff comes off and like, it just turns into humor.
Yeah.
So, I really appreciate that those movies were like a tribute to the classic ones, the original ones. But then they have the comedy element without losing the respect for the classic, the
Here's
originals.
the classics. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I have my pick of what absolutely floored me as a kid, and it's 1979, but I want you to go first. I want you to
Okay.
go with one of yours.
Okay. So I am going to I'm gonna see if you can guess. This one was nominated for 2 Academy Awards.
2 Academy Awards.
Nominated, yeah.
Don't even was it The Exorcist?
Nope.
2 Academy Awards. No, but you're a kid, right? I mean, you're a
Uh-huh.
kid.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh boy, two Academy Awards. Misery?
Nope.
All right. What is it?
All right. It is dun 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 dun.
You've got
Young
to be kidding me. I did
Frankenstein.
not know that it was nominated for 2 Academy Awards.
Yeah, I took some notes. Wait a second. It was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Sound.
All right. I look, I would give it all of the Academy Awards because it is almost a near perfect film. And piggybacking on what you were just saying about the love that Abbott and Costello had for the Universal monsters, this is literally a love letter to those
Exactly.
movies.
Exactly. It's
So
that you can see the respect that Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder had for those original movies. Um, I watched it the other day, rewatched it just as I rewatched Abbott and Costello as well. But I also did some reading up on it. They said that they actually were able to use the same equipment from the original movies, like the
yeah,
Frankenstein lab equipment, and they had the same sort of sets.
you imagine the fun. First of all, you've got Mel Brooks directing, Gene Wilder, Terry Garr,
Uh-huh.
Madeline Kahn.
And
Oh my
Marty
God,
Feldman.
Artie Feldman. I mean, you've knocked it out of the park. You have knocked it out of the park. That could possibly be, if not Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, Young Frankenstein could be the perfect gateway horror.
Yeah.
Perfect. And also, from an adult perspective, it's visually beautiful. Shot in
Mhm.
black and white. Those sets, uh,
Yeah.
10 out of 10, no notes. You nailed it right out of the gate.
Yeah, and they used like the same sort of film techniques, like the transitions. They use like the little iris
How much do you
transitions and the
love
whites.
that when it goes to the pinprick? Yeah.
Right, right. So
Okay.
it's definitely like a big tribute to the originals. And then you got Peter Boyle as the monster, and he's like the sweetest, like most charming monster. His face is so expressive.
He plays the straight man to every character in that movie. Every single character, and he's so good. The scene between him and Gene Hackman
Yes,
is
as the hermit, the blind hermit.
it's iconic. I mean, it's just iconic. I mean, and then the Hackman's last line, "I was going to make espresso." I mean, it's so good. Perfect, perfect suggestion. Okay,
Yeah. So, and again, a lot of similarities with Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, because you've
right?
got like the funny parody of the original, but also an amazing tribute to the original. You've got like your sort of physical gags, and yeah, it's just there are a lot of similarities. You've got the same themes, even the conflict of trying to create this monster, and mayhem ensues, and
Gateway horror succeeds when it can entertain an adult and still captivate a child
right. So that's what these two movies do really well.
perfectly.
And Young Frankenstein, another thing I liked about it was that it had a happy ending for everybody. Like,
Everyone, everyone.
there's no burning windmill, there's no like throwing somebody off the cliff, or it's like they both just have a happy ending.
I was listening to a podcast, and I hadn't really thought about it, but I was listening to a podcast on man-made monsters, Evolution of Horror, I think it was, and they were talking about Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and Son of Frankenstein,
Mhm.
and how they're so distinctly different visually and thematically. I mean, Bride of Frankenstein has almost become like an iconic queer horror film. And then
Yeah.
Son of Frankenstein is like this Art Deco masterpiece. And then you've got Frankenstein, and I mean James Whale just, going for broke, and it's just perfect. But I never really thought about it until they pointed it out, how they are so different, because you
Mhm.
just assume, oh, okay, this is just Universal and they're capitalizing on a moment, and
Right.
they're all, just cookie cutter, and nothing could be further from the truth. So anyway,
Yeah, and I think with like the monster in particular, like the personality of the monster in particular.
yeah,
So, he starts out as sort of the innocent creature that gets made, and then like by the end he's like a raving lunatic. So I think that that young Frankenstein brings it back to the beginning. Like he's an innocent. He does have some ravings, but hey, so does Gene Wilder as Freddy
Right?
Frankenstein. They both have their lunatic ravings. And so, but yeah, so the Peter Boyle monster is just like that. You know, he's the innocent creature that didn't ask for any of this and just wants to be left alone. You know, has just like everybody is scared of him, and
Can I tell you a quick story about how stupid I was as a kid? And you're going to appreciate this. Probably about the same time I was when I saw Jaws, but I was obsessed with Universal Monsters. So there was Chilla Theater and there was Creature Feature, and I would sit in front, 3 inches away from the TV, which is why I wear glasses today. And I would just wait for these horror movies to come on. And I was checking the TV guide and I saw Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
uh-huh.
In my little tiny little brain, I thought that they were friends because they're meeting. It was Godzilla verse. I knew they were fighting, and I watched the movie, and I was heartbroken that they weren't teaming up and being buddies together. And I look back on that now, and I'm like, yeah,
Well, and speaking of like teaming up, there are a few where they do team up, right?
They do. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you're gonna talk. Maybe you're gonna talk about some.
I'm going to radically change the tone and the mood where we're talking about fun and the kids can enjoy it and the parents can enjoy it, and I'm going to ruin all of that right now.
Okay, go for it.
It's not my fault. TV during the 70s, you just watch what was on and you got excited about it. There are more spine-chilling, horrifying made-for-TV movies that would play at 8 o'clock on ABC or CBS. There are dozens of them. The best, and by proxy the worst, as far as scares go, is Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot in 79 was so unbelievably terrifying. Now, it was gateway horror, though, because it was on TV.
Right.
There wasn't even a restriction that I had to buy a ticket and some adult-like person could tell me, no, this isn't for you. I just needed to turn the button on a box.
Yeah.
And I could watch it. Salem's Lot, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, Duel with Dennis Hoover. I mean, these were all made for TV horror movies, and they really did terrify. But Salem's Lot particularly, it was a 2-night special event, and they showed the first episode, 2-hour episode, on like a Tuesday. They didn't show the next one until Thursday. Wednesday was like, I mean, picture me at this point, I'm 10 years old, and I honestly, picture me in my driveway just chain smoking. Anxiety. This is essentially what it felt like until I could see the conclusion of that movie, which resolved nothing for me. It was just abject terror with the little Danny Glick scratching at the window. And then every time a little branch were to hit my house, I'm like, well, this is it. I'm being murdered by a vampire. And I essentially still feel like that today.
Yeah, we had
TV horror.
Yeah, I don't think this was TV, but we had a birthday party. I think I was in 6th grade, and we rented The Exorcist.
All right.
And then in another sleepover we had, my sister asked my dad, "What's the scariest movie you can think of?" And he said The Evil Dead. So we rented The Evil Dead.
Your dad's he's not far off. He's definitely not far off. That will leave a mark. But I mean, you kind of have to, you just have to take your lumps, I suppose.
I don't think we made it through The Evil Dead because some of the kids who were sleeping over couldn't hack it.
Out of here. So made for TV horror, I'm going to generalize and just say made for TV horror during the 70s was just so terrifying. Even the ones that were tamer, The Initiation of Sarah, even that, there was a weird moment where there was like a good 4 years where there was so much devil stuff. I guess maybe it was
Yeah.
after The Exorcist and The Omen, but there
Yeah,
was
and there was that whole satanic panic,
oh, I got it
craze.
twice. I got it in the 70s and I got it again in the 80s. Got it coming and going. But yeah, I mean, look, it was there and there were no restrictions, so I watched it. But I've got better choices, but that one's a little damaging for me. But you know, I lived.
Yeah, yeah.
What have you got next? You have another one for me?
Okay, my next one is, I'm also gonna make you guess this one.
Okay.
It's a Christmas movie.
All right, it's a Christmas movie, but it's also horror.
Uh-huh.
Okay, okay. This could be tricky. Give me a couple of guesses. It could be The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nope.
Okay. Is it Krampus?
Nope.
Okay. All right. All right. It's a Gremlins.
Yes,
Oh,
you
I
got
knew it.
it. All right, so Gremlins came out in 1984. So I actually did see this one in the theater when it came out.
Okay.
And this one is definitely different from the other two that I had mentioned because it's not a parody. The other two were sort of parodies or tributes to the originals, and this is just a thing of its own. You've got and I also think that this one is more made for kids rather than for adults that kids can enjoy. This one was sort of more geared toward
I
the
agree.
younger viewer because
Yeah.
you've got like the little cute little gremlin, the mogwai, who's furry and it sort of purrs and sings and it's very cute. And of course, me as like an 11-year-old totally wanted one of these as a pet, because it's so
Everyone did.
cute. So you've got like that appeal, the cute little furry, adorable little creature. You've got, there's like a dog in the movie that like, so that appeals to kids. You've got a very young Corey Feldman. He was like 13 years old. So adorable.
Can I tell you my huge problem with Gremlins?
What's that?
Billy is the worst. He doesn't listen to one rule.
Well, to be fair, some of them weren't his fault. So you
Dad's
had
pretty bad too. You're right. You're right.
it was actually Corey Feldman who spilled the water on Gizmo.
You're right about that one. I forgot. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
because actually I watched this the other day too, because I was, getting ready to talk to you. I was like, I gotta rewatch all these movies. I have a terrible memory. So I'm like, okay, I have to rewatch Gremlins, Young Frankenstein. Anyway, so it's Corey Feldman who spills the water on Gizmo, and then the five little, anti-gizmos pop up. For the eating after dark, after midnight, that was actually the ground, the stripe, the bad
The
grandma.
baddie. Yeah.
He chewed the wires of the clock so that the clock, it looked like it was 11:30, and he's like, "Okay, I'll feed you. It's not after midnight yet." So it wasn't Billy's fault. I'm sticking up for Billy.
You're a Billy apologist. I'm just calling it out right now.
And there's definitely some problems with the movie. There's some stuff that just doesn't even make sense.
No. But it's so much fun.
It's fun.
It
And
is.
the gags are so silly. Like you've got gremlins playing poker, you've got gremlins like there was one on a skateboard. There
It turns into like if you're a kid, you're like, this is Looney Tunes,
Uh-huh.
like Bugs Bunny-esque,
Right.
and you just can't get enough of it. So
But
I'm
they're also vicious killers because
very much
you know,
so.
Stripe was throwing a saw blade at Billy at one point.
Yeah,
Like
but
they were out to kill. They were not just
science
like,
teacher went though. I mean, they killed the science teacher.
yeah, exactly.
Poor Mr. Futterman. I mean, there was
Uh-huh. And
Polly
Mrs.
Holiday.
Deagle. Mrs. Deagle was
Here you
the
go.
one.
All right, hands down the best death in the movie.
Uh-huh, definitely, definitely. But I liked in this movie, this was a great 80s movie because it was all about I mean, well, it wasn't all about, but a lot of it had to do with technology. And technology in the 80s was just getting started. Like
Yep.
you got your boom boxes, your answering machines, your microwaves, all this new technology. And in the movie, the dad is the inventor. So he's inventing all these weird gadgets, all this crazy technology that none of it works.
No, they all suck.
And and like a lot of other things in the movie that are supposed to be technological advances don't work. And then the gremlins are sort of drawn to the technology because it's sort of like based on the gremlin sort of lore from World War
Number two.
II,
Yeah.
which, you know, the fighter planes, there were, you know, rumors that gremlins were messing with the engines of the fighter planes. And so that's, I think that's where the term gremlin came
You're
from.
100% right. That's it.
Yeah. So it's perfect to have this in the 80s, and these gremlins are obsessed with technology, and they're pulling out traffic lights and you know, so it was just great for the 80s, a great way to sort of showcase, you know, what technology can do and what problems it can have, what problems
Fan-
can arise out of all this crazy
Fantastic choice.
technology.
You're nailing it tonight. You are absolutely nailing it. Okay. Laura, how do you feel about spiders?
I actually like spiders. I don't mind spiders.
So do I. And I can't kill a spider. I always let him
Let
out
them out, yeah,
of
or
the
keep them in
house.
the house. Hey, they get rid of the other bugs.
But my gateway is a 1980s gem that is full of spiders and a man named Jeff Daniels.
Okay. What is it?
Arachnophobia.
Oh, yeah, 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 of course, of course.
This is such great gateway horror because all of the scares are so firmly wrapped around that Amblin, Steven Spielberg-esque, like, you know, there's that kind of playful music, the playful, even when something horrific is going on, it's shot so beautifully. Like the color palette is so warm and inviting. It's so suburban and safe,
Uh-huh.
you know? And the score is kind of lilting. You know, there's none of that dun dun dun.
Uh-huh.
Even when it's horrifying, you're still like you're just so transfixed by that Amblin like wash over everything. And I think the story is insanely fun. I was talking with Eric Hansen from the Cradle to the Grave podcast. We talk about arachnophobia way too much. He's got a great theory though. He goes arachnophobia because I always came to it from the perspective of it's kind of like Jaws because you have like the Hooper character, the Brody character, and the Quint character. You know, like loose variations of it. And he goes, no, 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 no. It's Dracula, the big spider, the mammoth spider is in Transylvania in the beginning and is taken via coffin to suburban California and then starts to through, two fangs in the neck, starts killing people, but
Right, right.
also starts turning other spiders into more vampires. And I'm like, Eric, it kills me to say this, but you're absolutely right. It's like a little mini Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I love it for
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Super, super friendly for maybe not young kids, but teens that eat this up.
Mhm.
No one's gonna, no one's sleeping with the nightlight on. I think it's fairly safe, and I think it's incredibly fun.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
You need
I
to
remember
watch
that
it.
one. Let's see. So I was just going to talk about those three, but I have a few more that I could mention that could be gateway horror movies. There is The Lost Boys.
Perfect. Perfect.
There's
Santa Clara, California.
uh-huh.
Got a real bad vampire problem, Laura.
Right, right. All those damn vampires. There was The Mummy, Brendan Fraser's the first Brendan Fraser mummy.
Now, you want to come back? I'll talk about the mummy for an entire episode. I love that movie so much.
Yeah, so I'll have to watch that again if you have me back to talk about it because I
It's
haven't
so
watched it in
much
a long time.
fun. It's
It
just
is
so much
fun.
fun.
Yeah. Let me see. I wrote down a couple more.
Can I
So
give you
there's
one while you're
oh yeah,
looking that
yeah.
up? How about this? I don't know if kids would hang with it today. What about the Monster Squad?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
All those great Universal monsters, but kind of like a new, a little bit of an updated spin on it. But I'll tell you something. It is very much where kids were having fun movie, like a Kids on Bikes movie.
Uh-huh.
Duncan Rainier, who plays Dracula, he's a son of a bitch in that movie. He's a nasty piece of business, and it kind of ups the fear factor a little bit because of his performance. But I love that
Right,
movie.
right. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Let's see, we've got Hocus Pocus.
Oh, well, all right. Can I ask you, are you the kind of person that every October you've got to get at least one Hocus Pocus watch in?
No, you know what? I haven't watched Hocus Pocus in a while.
What's your go-to October watch? Do
I
you
think
have one?
my go-to October watch is actually, so it's, we mentioned this movie, or this is one of your guesses, but is it a Christmas movie or is it a Halloween movie? But The Nightmare Before Christmas, that's a good one for me to watch.
Great.
So there was also the Addams Family, but I feel like the Addams Family isn't that much of a horror movie. It's more like it's got the horror elements, but
Yeah,
there's no real like danger, like nobody's after any, you know what I mean?
I do, but I'll give it. I'll say this though, it is just drenched in all of the visuals, so you
Mhm.
just assume, right? You're like, oh yeah,
Right, right.
this is
But
a horror movie,
plot-wise, I feel like it's not a
straight
horror
up
movie.
comedy. I love part two. I love Adam's Family Values with Joe
Uh-huh.
Cusack. Oh my god, it's so like it's
Right,
fantastic,
right, right.
fantastic. I don't. I mean, look, I have other movies. I mean, there's The Gate. I've got a lot of '80s movies. Like The
Mhm.
Gate is gateway horror, but it's also not a great movie. So I'd rather if kids are gonna start to get involved with horror and appreciate it, I really want to direct them towards good movies. Everything else is kind of you stole my thunder because my the last one I had in my pocket was The Lost Boys.
Uh-huh.
I
Well, we
think
can
that
talk about that.
it is, yeah, you know what? The Mummy, we're gonna shelve The Mummy. I'm gonna have you back, and I'm gonna ask Nicole if she'll come back.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really want to unpack The Lost Boys because you've got vampire lore, which
Mhm.
fairly it adheres to pretty traditional vampire rules.
Yeah,
You've got the Corys,
I know.
you've got the 80s fashion, which is
The
some of
80s fashion, music, yeah, everything 80s.
I mean, but it's if you were it's like French cooking, you boil it down to a roux so you just get the essence of it. It is so 80s. It's like that
Uh,
perfect moment where I mean Corey Haim comes downstairs in an outfit. He's basically wearing like a caftan.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right, look. I so badly want to talk Lost Boys with you right now. We're gonna save
Okay,
it.
okay, we're gonna
We're gonna
stop.
save it. You have to. It's so crazy. Jason Patrick is brooding. He's in a
He's
completely separate
awesome.
movie. Completely separate movie. It is just so great. And then the grandfather, who is in like two scenes, but the most important at the end. Anyway, I'm gonna have you back. We're gonna talk the Lost Boys. We're making it a thing. Oh,
Right.
Laura, this was so much fun. My sides hurt.
Oh. Well, and then since you mentioned at the beginning the ones that we saw a little too young, or we were a little too young when we saw, I definitely have Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween and The Exorcist, which I mentioned.
Blame
Those are
your
all
dad.
like scared the crap out of me. I could not sleep for weeks after watching Nightmare on Elm Street. And, my parents, like I would be up at night, not
Did
being
you
able to
catch
sleep.
these on cable or were they rentals? Did
I
someone?
think they were rentals. Yeah, rentals.
I mean, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. How you're scarring the minds of youth. But Look, I would turn on cable and I would watch the most horrifically terrifying things, and they were just
Mhm.
right there, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just we grew up. That's how we turned out to be the way we are.
Yeah, you know what? As Nicole would tell you, like horror helps build your fear reflex. I think, that's one of her reasons for why horror is good for you. So,
I agree.
um, if you start at the young age, you build that fear reflex and you're good to go.
It helps with the fear reflex. We also get to go into either a novel and we get to spend however long it takes us to read the novel, and it's cathartic, and we kind of unpack our fears and our worries and concerns, and we kind of leave it on the page. Or you go into a dark movie theater for 2 hours, and then when you leave it in the theater, you know?
Yeah,
So horror is, yeah, I mean, people don't know how special it is.
yeah.
Real good. Do me a favor. Tell everybody about your books again, and if you have
Okay.
any events coming up.
Yeah, so this was my first book, Peril at Price Manor. This one I kind of feel like is a tribute to those old B movies, creature features,
Fantastic.
because we've got our main character here. She loves horror movies and she is determined to become a horror movie scream queen when she grows up. So
I
she
love
practices her screaming and her running and falling, of course, and fainting, So one day she gets the opportunity to go to Price Manor. That's the spooky mansion here, where it's the home of a famous horror movie maker who's kind of like her idol. And so she's delivering flowers there from her mom's flower shop, and she's hoping to be discovered, but what she discovers there herself is that there are these slimy tentacled creatures. I've got one of these guys right here. These are I made this guy. These are tridecapuses. They have 13 tentacles, and they are kind of like the face hugger in Alien. They
you
jump
need
on
to
you.
open up an Etsy shop. I want one of those.
So she has to use all her sort of horror movie knowledge to save the day. There's a pair of quirky twins in Price Manor who are the kids of the horror movie maker, and they kind of are naive, but they have their own special skills. So the three of them have to work together to defeat these creatures and save the day.
Love it. I love it. Tell us about the new one.
All right, so the new one is The Haunting of Bellington Cottage, and it is about a haunted Airbnb. In the story, I don't use Airbnb, it's a rent-abode, like RENT dash A dash bode. So that's the app that they
Look
use.
how gorgeous that cover is, by the way.
Well, it's the same illustrator that did both my books. Her name
Love this.
is Paulina Hanumani. I don't know how to pronounce
Paulina,
the last
this
name,
is
but
for you.
she is from Finland and she does a fantastic job doing illustrations. She does all kinds of fantasy work and things like that.
Gorgeous.
Um, anyway, so it's about these two girls. The main character is Iris. She has a broken arm, and the family is going on vacation to like a ski town, but she can't ski. She's got a broken arm, and the family invites another family along, who their daughter is V, right there, and Iris and V had met a couple years ago on another group family vacation where they went to the beach and they created a haunted house in their rental house where they were just trying to scare the grown-ups. They made all these brought all these props and sound effects and things like that to scare the grown-ups. And so Iris, with her broken arm, she's ready to do this again. She's like, we gotta relive the old days. But V, now
That's the
3 years
magic.
later, she wants nothing to do with it. She's like very mature now, and she's a little bit grumpy. And so there's a lot of tension between the two girls in the beginning. But then it turns out, of course, that the cottage actually is haunted, and so they have to work together to, sort of figure out who is haunting the cottage and why and what they want. And they have to, rebuild their friendship. So that's what that story is about. And this actually based on my friend and I, when we were about 12 years old, we went on vacation together at a rental cottage in Cape May, and we made a spooky haunted house to scare the adults, but it wasn't actually.
Well, I want to do that now. I want to do that. Oh, that sounds fantastic. Can I say though? Okay, it's the beginning of October. We're right at the beginning of spooky season. Things are only going to ramp up as we get closer to Halloween. Then we roll right into the holidays. This is the perfect time to buy these books for the kids you love or the kid inside you. All right?
Yeah, if you're looking for gateway horror for
Perfect.
your kids who you want them to love horror, just like my dad wanted me to love horror, so he took me to the movies.
Tried
But
to
these
push
are
it on
these
my
are
kids. It
great
didn't work.
books for just starting out, or also if you already like horror as well,
I mean,
or
your dad sounds
any
like the
book.
coolest guy ever. But yes, these novels are fantastic. Please look right below here. You're going to see Laura's Instagram link, and you're also going to see the link to buy these incredible novels. I highly encourage everybody to get some gateway horror for some kids.
Yes.
Right. We have a solid date. We're going to get Wolverton involved as well. We're going to talk the Lost Boys. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy talking to you, and it's fun to rehash these old memories from
Right?
from our youth.
We always have a good chat. We dredge up our trauma together. It's great.
Exactly.
Laura, have a great night. I'm going to be talking to you soon, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Anytime.
Bye.
Take care.